And it's time for our new week of Facebook Lives. I'm so psyched to see you guys on our last week in February. And hopefully, here in Pennsylvania, it's the last week we have to look at this white on the ground because I'm sure ready for some green stuff to start showing up through it. But we are kicking off our week with a bang in these Facebook Lives. I have with me today, wonderfully, I'm going to give the formal introduction, Shantae, and then we'll get into our informal chit chat. But Prophetess Shantae Gonzales is globally known as the system stylist, which is what caught my attention. You guys know I go out there looking for cool and weird things, and this was a cool one that grabbed my attention. She was medically declared an NAS infant drug baby due to her mother's drug addiction. So the life challenges that Shantae has had to go through have become her driving force to stand up, show up, and speak up. She has one goal, and that's to offer peace of mind to herself and to others. And she does this by supporting coaches, consultants, and other creatives to strategize, structure, and streamline their businesses. And all those things, just even uttering those words, bring me peace, Shantae, to their businesses to match their lifestyle. It's time to stop dealing and start healing. I love that tagline, Shantae. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
And you are whereabouts in the country again?
I live in Conyers, Georgia.
Love it. So you are right near where my daughter and actually one of my employees lives.
Awesome.
So they're right in Atlanta proper. So I'm sure they're waving now from wherever they are. So your life story has been quite a story. What were some of the issues you had to deal with as an infant drug baby? Like physically, were there things you had to adapt to, or was it just emotional, neurological? Like what was affected?
All of it. Emotional,
Oh, wow.
psychological. I had seizures.
Whoa.
So it was like I was also addicted to drugs.
So you came out addicted to what your mother had been taking, basically.
Right. So I was having what they call withdrawals because I wasn't getting it.
Wow.
So it was like that was like my food.
How long did that last?
What I was told was for a few months. So it didn't last, too long. But I was weaned off of it. I had to
treat it with counter drug. Okay, did they treat it with counter drugs?
Yeah, it was something to help with the seizures.
Okay.
That was the immediate thing. We needed to stop the seizures.
Wow.
And then that was it. And then, healthy. Mind is the same as, as everybody's.
Okay, so there was no
brain damage
or emotional damage as a result.
No, I think my angels was keeping me.
Is there sometimes that kind of damage done with drug babies?
Oh yeah, definitely. With drug babies, it's really interesting because it affects them differently. It affects everybody differently due to genetics and how much was the mom taking, and like a whole bunch of stuff. Was she abused in that area? Anything.
Physically abused.
Physically abused.
Okay.
That nature. But drugs have a damage of its own later on. So I still struggle with certain addictions. Not drugs. I've never used drugs, but any addiction. It could be food. It could be emotional, wanting attention. I was diagnosed with ADD. So focusing on certain things. And so that's that's the biggest thing in entrepreneurship. That's
tell me.
I think I had to overcome because I was like, I can't focus.
It's interesting though, as many entrepreneurs as I talk to, and it's a lot of my work with some of them, a large number of them have ADD. I think it's part of the gift of that people bring to entrepreneurship because it allows you to continue to grow the vision in a way that somebody like me who's a little more linear and like I'm great at executing on things, but I don't come up with ideas because I don't bounce around quite that much.
Right.
And I think there's like I don't know if it's a controlled level of ADD that can really be an advantage to you as an entrepreneur.
it's a big advantage to me.
Huh.
That's what
Talk
makes
to me
me
about that.
well, because I can multitask really well. So I have more of it's controlled. So I know how to control it because of mindset. I just train my mind. Where I think some ADD patients or whatever you want to call us,
Mhm.
they don't.
Got it. Got
Right.
it.
So, but I can be really, really creative and think of so many ideas to bring to your business.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you'll be like, okay, Shantae, slow down. Let's do this one thing, right? Or these two things. And I'm like, yeah, but I have a whole entire team that can knock out 5 of them. And you're like, I know, but we need to just focus on 1 or 2 because the way the marketing works, we got to scale and make sure this and this. I'm like, okay. But I have more coming.
That's something. And I'm a person who will sit. In fact, Gail, you saw her comment is it's
Yeah.
part of being creative. And I know we're all creative in our own ways. And
Oh,
and I don't like diss that I'm my creativeness, but it's not as much. So it's not as easy to put together a stream of thought that's creative. So that's kind of fascinating.
yeah. You can say one word to me and I make an entire course.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a
literally.
gift. That's a gift. Well, talk to me a little bit about what you do in your business. I love stylized systems. What is that all about? Please tell me. I
Well,
hear style and I worry about what I'm wearing, right?
right. Well, I style your systems because the system is ultimately you. You are the system, right? I'm trying to
Huh.
fix the chain and I'm going opposite way. So,
That's a mirror for you.
right, I'm trying to,
Symmetry.
think I might have a tad bit OCD sometimes. But
It goes with the other.
it goes with the other girl. Okay.
Yeah.
So styling means I tailor it to you. So
Okay.
the systems, all automation systems, whether it's Thinkific or Kajabi or Acuity, any software system um, can be tailored to the person, your
Hmm.
lifestyle, your desired lifestyle. Because when you first come into entrepreneurship, so you have, for me, it's 3 stages: solopreneur, entrepreneur, CEO.
Yeah,
The
well
thing
put.
that a CEO does, they done surpassed all the systems that a solopreneur does, right?
Yep.
And it also depends on mindset. It does depend on budget, but that's
Right.
the first thing that a solopreneur entrepreneur does when choosing a system. They're like, hey, G Suite, cheapest, I'm going with that.
Yep.
Everything's in one thing. And I look at them and I'm like, okay, but you don't have a G Suite mindset. You might like more, you still have a CEO mindset where it's more structured in Outlook. Outlook has a certain look. It has
Got
a
it.
certain
So you
feel.
even help pick the right
I
system
help
for your
choose.
clients.
That's the stylist part. I'm choosing
Okay.
systems for them, but they have to trust me. So my
Gotcha.
clients struggle with trust. And so what's interesting is the way the way it works is that they'll come to me, they're entrepreneur, no mindset issues, nothing like that. They know exactly what they want. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not it. And they're like, how do you know? And as a prophet, I'm able to see. So God is telling them, basically, it's just confirming. I'm
Got
confirming
it.
to them what it is that they want and how they feel and all that stuff. They're like, oh,
Oh,
okay. So this is how you know. I said, yeah, because the current thing that you're doing, you've outgrown it, or your team is going to get frustrated with it because you're probably a control freak, or you probably don't want to do anything with them.
yep.
Like, hey, just do this, figure it out on your own. So then you have to choose a VA. This is part of a system. You have to choose your team based off of independent mindset or dependent mindset. So
And that's actually a really important point you make. And I want to circle back to dependent and independent.
mm,
But what you said is really important. System just doesn't mean the tech.
it's not.
System means the people, the tech, the processes, all of it, right? You're looking at the whole thing.
I'm looking at the entire thing from bird's eye view.
Okay,
Where
got it.
they're like, Acuity is not working. I need you to fix this. And I'm like, that's because Acuity doesn't go with all of the systems that you're trying to incorporate.
Okay.
So system stylist just means that I tailor it to your desired lifestyle. And if your desired lifestyle is I want to make 1 million a year or 5 million a year, then we need to get a scalable CRM.
Got it.
You know.
So you really help people figure out from the get-go, from when they're migrating it from solopreneur to entrepreneur, or as they're in that solopreneur space.
Solopreneur space, I recommend free. Because
Perfect.
we don't have no capital to go
It's
on.
cash for time at that point.
Yes, you're learning. I recommend free, as many free tools as possible, so that way they're not stressed about budget.
Got it. And a lot of times then, so just playing this out,
Yeah.
I do that when I'm an entrepreneur. I get the free stuff, which I certainly did when I started.
Yes.
And I got hooked into them.
Yes.
And then they became, I'm like, oh, well, I'll just buy the professional level of this because I know it.
Yeah.
So I would do that. And then I'd find another tool that I'd go, oh, that works a little bit better. So then I'd have an Acuity, and I'd have Salesforce, and I'd have HubSpot. So all these things come crashing in. And then you get a poor VA or an EA who comes in and goes, why do you have 600 systems? So I think it's a perfect time before I pull that trigger and say, oh, just let me get the pro version of what I've got, that you would jump in and say, no, let's get into you for a minute and decide what's going to work.
Yeah. And the getting into you, I'm glad that you said that. The getting into you means we take a personality test, number one.
Oh, okay.
And that gives us, instead of having everything so spiritual, because not everybody's as spiritual as I am, so they don't understand how I know what I know.
Yeah.
So it's like they're not as spiritual, so I got to get something that's factual, something that they
got it.
So we do the personality test. They're like, yep. So I said, well, what does it say it matched you with? And they're like, this, 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 and this. So to a not as spiritual person as I am, I have to go through that route. But
just so they buy into it and
to ease them into, I don't want to spook nobody.
I hear you.
Right. So I want to just make sure that they know that I know. I already know. It's kind of like God, our parents, right? Let's not forget God, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
As being a parent, you know your child and you know what they're about to do, and you know for a fact.
It's so true. Oh my God, what a great example. That's so true.
You know it. So it's like, I just told you not to touch the stove, but you know they're going to go to touch the stove. So what do we have to do? Probably turn it off, whatever.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's perfect. What a great analogy.
Right? So it's like, but you have to show them, okay, go ahead and touch it. They're not as hot. We leave it a little warm so they can know, hey, this is hot and this is cold. So I just try to make sure I give them something. So it's a personality test. It's the easiest thing. You can use it corporate use it all the time.
Okay.
I'm forgetting the higher version of it. But it's where you get really technical and I mean, like when you go to fill out your application, you have to answer tons of questions.
Yeah.
And that's them learning your personality and how you are and how you move, right? So every company uses it. So it's a way to give them, what I'm doing also there is setting up their system for HR.
Got it.
So if you know who you want to hire that's really close to you, and then who you want them to be able to train. Right? So
which is harder. Mm-hmm.
But from Jump Street, you have a foundation to go on.
I love it.
So I'm setting you up for success just with that personality test. But most people, they're like, I just want you to do the system. And I'm like, you're not there yet.
You know, it's interesting. It's like so much of what we do, right? People think they know what they need, but there's so much more that they really need to get that thing.
Right.
Like what I really want when I talk to you is not, I want Acuity to work better, but that's what I think I want.
Yes.
What I really want is the smoothest working system throughout my business that I could possibly get. And that's what you actually do. But I'd never know to ask you that question. I'm just going to say, Acuity's not doing what I want. Can you fix it?
Right. And
that's like, yeah.
And with me, how I always tackle that is I ask more questions. So Acuity is not working. Okay, so what other system you have? I do a system audit.
Got it.
So by doing the system audit, they're walking me through their entire client experience, which most likely they don't have.
Mm-hmm.
It's all up here, but it's not where nobody else, the team doesn't know
So
about.
you're putting together a client journey now.
I'm showing them their client journey.
Got
That
it.
client doesn't have a journey because they don't even have a journey. They're like, well, I don't have one. I'm like, well, that's what I'm here for. Are you going to listen to me?
Gotcha. Yep, that's
So,
perfect.
yeah. So it's like during that systems audit, that's when things come to life. And they're like, yeah, I can see it now. I do want them to go. And I'm like, okay, so does Acuity fit that? They're like, nope.
Nope. Got it.
Yeah.
That is perfect. So one of the things you do kind of initially with everybody is a systems audit. So if anybody's interested in that, what do they do to reach out to you? Like, how do they get started down that path if we have somebody migrating from solopreneur to entrepreneur?
For me, it's a strategy session.
Okay.
And it's a paid strategy session. They're $297.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So that's including that systems audit because it can take 2 hours.
Gotcha.
Yeah, 1 hour to 2 hours, depending on how big your business is and all that good stuff.
So they should bring tea or wine or whatever their drink preference is along with them, right?
Please bring your tea. When you go on my site, ShantaeGonzalez.com, you'll be able to see TLC. And TLC is tea and me. Get your teas and me. Tea and light chat. So definitely
I love that.
definitely get you something to drink because we're gonna be on there and really digging in and going through we're gonna be going through your systems. And
Going through it deep. I love that. How many people get on the phone with you to say, hey, I'm having trouble with Acuity or Zoom or whatever, and get off the phone going, wow, this can be so much better than I thought?
they say it on the call. They're
Yeah.
crying. I think every call that I've had.
That's amazing. So that's a real testament to what that thought process does with people and the way that you're able to draw that out of them.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
everybody's so different,
Cool.
and how it impacts them is the same result of I didn't know.
Got it.
And then some of they're scared of it because they're like, I'm not ready for all that. I just really want somebody to fix security.
I can see that. I can see that because it
Great.
can be overwhelming.
It's overwhelming.
So you clearly in your life have gone through a lot of challenges and clearly come out the other side, and we're all still growing and evolving. But in your business, what's been the biggest challenge you've had to deal with?
Navigating no.
Tell me about that. That's interesting.
It's hard because of the challenge. I don't want to say because of the challenges, but because of the challenges, I don't know another way to say it. It's hard for me to ask the right questions. So when you don't know the right questions to ask, it's going to be hard for them to answer to get them to answer it the right way.
And see the value.
To see the value. That's it. Because they're learning this thing called value proposition. I don't know what that is, right?
Gotcha.
Like I'm not afraid to say I don't know what that is. I don't know how to do it. I know that I am doing it. I'm doing something right. But you don't know value proposition when you first become an entrepreneur. You don't know what that means. You don't know what does that mean? What do you do? And so how do I communicate that this is really valuable? So their no becomes, I used to take it very personal.
Okay.
Something wrong with me. So navigating no, it was hard for me to number one, say no.
Oh, to say no, not only say no, but to hear no.
To hear no, that's number two. And I'm like, well, why are you saying no to me? That was the first, and they're like, I'm not saying no to you. I'm saying no that I'm not ready for you yet.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, okay, so you do see value. But that becomes a little frustrating because in the sales process, you got to learn how to create the right and structure the right questions.
Yeah.
That way it's not a struggle throughout.
So like everyone, you struggle with the sales conversation. And how have you worked to overcome that? Like, what have you done specifically to help yourself deal with that?
Number one, I don't take anything personal. And number two, I'm happy to hear no. no now to me means next opportunity.
I love it. That's so good. I got to type that in here.
Type it in, girl. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. No is next opportunity, and to not take things personal. And this is mainly for the the solopreneurs growing into entrepreneur. Now, when you're entrepreneur growing into CEO, you don't have these problems.
Right.
The mindset shift is totally different.
Yeah.
So now I'm happy to say I'm entrepreneur growing into CEO.
Yeah. And it's just part. Yeah. No is not any kind of dismissal. It's
No,
it's what it is. And okay.
and
On.
it's okay.
And the thing I found too, every time I hang up with a no, and my business is a little weird because people generally, I don't have a sales call until they call me because it's such a long relationship that we have. Oh, it's 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. So I'm not usually doing an outbound sales call.
Yeah.
It's somebody that I've known for 6 months or 12 months is calling and saying, hey, I'm ready.
Yeah.
But I do remember early on, and with my smaller group, I know that it was like, no is like, what do you mean no? I know this is perfect for you. But the minute I hung up the phone, I'd realized, no, it wasn't perfect for them. If it was perfect for them, it would have been a yes.
It would have been a yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So just, knock that off. And it was a big shift.
And it's also what I found in navigating no's is that there's a lot of back and forth. If there's a lot of back and forth,
ooh, that's a red flag.
that's a red flag.
Got it.
And so I'm not learning. I've learned that, but
Mhm.
I'm experiencing that now.
Yep. Got it.
Client, there's a lot of back and forth, and I'm like, no,
done.
I'm done. Now I have to figure out the right words to tell her no. Like I don't want her like to turn down a client.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anybody in the comments want to help me out, let me know.
Yeah, no, that's really true. What somebody classified that to me, one of my mentors a long time ago said, you don't ever chase a sale. If you're ever chasing a sale, number one, you feel crappy. Number two, it's not the right sale.
Yeah.
And I love that. But this, getting somebody off the phone at that point, I mean, I've come up with great ways for that. But sometimes it's, you know what, I know somebody who'd be great for what you need. And a lot of times I do.
Yeah.
And I just refer them at that point.
Right.
For others, if it gets to be that haggling thing,
Yeah.
like somebody will say, I know somebody else that does this for, half the price. And I'll just say, I think you ought to talk to them.
I think you ought to talk to. I think that they said that to me, and I'm
I
like,
think you ought to talk to them.
I think you need to talk to them first, and then after they create whatever, and if you don't like it, then you can get back to me.
Yeah, I don't even go that far. I just say, wow, you should talk to them.
You should talk to them.
Because by then I've already decided this is not the right.
Yeah.
This is not the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's actually literally the two ways that I do it. A lot of times it's people really, I don't want them paying for it because their business isn't ready for it yet.
The business
And
is,
so
I think and during the business model, when you're creating that structure, and if you still got to go through, small business development has really good resources for smaller business owners.
Yep.
You can go through that process and get really detailed in your business model and all that good stuff. And after you failed a while, I remember our first conversation, I told you the entrepreneur and that corporate, I attract many corporate clients. That corporate client has to fail. And then
then they're ready.
And then they're ready. If you have not failed in your business, you're not ready for me, because then you're going to think you know the systems. And then you're going to already have in your mind the systems that you want. And I'm going to already have in my mind, maybe, though it's not right for you.
When you write a book, it's got to be, if you haven't failed, you're not ready for me. I love that line. That's your title. If you haven't failed, you're not ready for me.
I'm going to write it too.
Yep. Because that's that line. I loved it the first time you said it. I love it again. It's really such a key line.
Let me type that down. I could type.
Yep. You that's your book title right there. That is it. I have loved this conversation. Is there before we stop with this today, is there some nugget of information you could give anybody who's watching either live or on replay, something they can do tomorrow to help themselves around their systems?
Yeah.
Action step they could take.
Action steps. I think the first one would be an action step.
Something that entrepreneurs can do tomorrow to be in a better spot. around their systems.
Okay, if you're an entrepreneur, not a solopreneur, entrepreneur, definitely get a CRM. Gotta
I
have
love
a CRM.
that.
Not
And what is a CRM for people who might not know what that stands for?
Oh, it's a customer relationship management system.
Okay.
So Dubsado is a CRM. HubSpot, you said it, is a CRM. Which other?
Salesforce.
That might be too big.
Yeah. Acuity.
Acuity.
Even an Excel spreadsheet where you're keeping track of names and no. Oh, that's a big no.
No.
Tell me why.
Because
I love it. I love this.
It's gonna get time consuming.
Gotcha.
We don't want to attach them to. We want to automate things, so we don't want to every time somebody comes in, you put it on an Excel sheet.
Yeah, you're right.
Solopreneur, yes, but not entrepreneur.
I love it. So ixnay to the Excel spreadsheet A.
Exit, don't do it.
I love it.
Do not burden your VA with it.
It's a big no. Okay, got it.
Okay.
So bottom line, if you're migrating to where you're going to have to keep track of prospects, clients, who's in your sales pipeline, and who converts to a customer, get a CRM. That's the best advice in the world. I love that.
Definitely get a CRM. That's the action step. And then that way, have a form. They automatically go into your CRM. It's automatically already there.
I love it. Then you got everything you need to move forward.
Yep.
And then the other thing, yeah, that is fantastic. Well, I know I'm going to need a systems audit here because my EA is probably going to see this and go, "You need to go see her now."
Now.
So I will.
I love you. I love her already. You know, I could see, right?
Yep. That's, oh my God. Yeah, that's a good point. You do love her. You and she would hit it off beautifully.
Yeah, you've been with her she's been with you for a while, yeah?
She has. Yeah.
I could see. We're gonna have to talk after this.
All right, good. We're gonna have that one offline.
Yeah, offline, yeah, definitely.
I love it. Everybody, I hope you have a fantastic rest of Tuesday. I will see you tomorrow again with another exciting guest. But right now, if you have any systems related questions in your business, drop them in the comments. Shantae has agreed to come in. If you tag her in the group, she'll come in and answer any questions you might have. And I am so grateful to have you as a member of our group and for being such an active participant. So from my heart to yours, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, take care. Everybody, you have a good one.